This is the assembly video for the contraption tile. The first thing you're going to want to do is some parts cleanup and prep. Each of these planetary gears, you're going to take a 2mm drill bit and clean out the hole in the center. You're going to do the same for the ring gear, all 6 of the mounting holes and the 2 holes that hold the escapement. The other cleanup you're going to want to do is making sure that the lower carrier spins freely in the base without any resistance. If you have any blobs in the base, you can scrape those out with a small ruler and clean up with a file. Next, we're going to install the planetary gears into the carriers. For the lower carrier, we're going to use a M2 by 6mm screw and a washer. So get those ready and install. You want these to be snug, but free to spin. So that's too tight. Loosen them until you can freely spin the gear. For the upper carrier, you're going to want to make sure you install them on the back side. And we're going to do the same, but this time using a 4mm screw. So again, tighten to snug, loosen a little bit, allow that to spin freely. I'll be back once the rest of the gears are installed. Now we're going to install the spring. In the end of the spring, there's a cutout for the screw head. So we're going to make sure the screw goes through in the right way. You can then install this into the lower carrier. Back this off slightly so that the end of the spring can rotate. And then work the spring into the bottom of the carrier with your fingers. You want to make sure that the middle sits down in that recess. There's a little raised edge. We can pop this into the base now, making sure that it sits flat. And we can hold it in place with the ring gear. With the ring gear, we want to make sure that the lug for the bottom of the tile lines up with one of the supports for the escapement. We're going to secure this with 12mm screws. Now we're going to install the ratchet into the upper carrier. Note the orientation of the arms and the cutout. This needs to be squeezed in kind of gently, but it'll hold itself in place. This can then be turned upside down and dropped into the ring gear. The last sun gear is going to go on top. It just sits in place. Now we're going to install the escapement. We need to snap in 2 10mm steel balls. These just pop in from the top and are pressed into place. Note that there are 2 pawls for the ratchet that engage with the sun gear. We're going to make sure those pawls face down. This is secured with 2 8mm screws. Again, since it's a moving part, we want to tighten these to snug and then back off so that the escapement can rotate freely. And last of all, the key. The ratchet and the spring have a hexagonal cutout that matches the shape of the key. So as this gets inserted, you need to rotate it to get it to seat all the way down. These features on the key rest against the top surface of the sun gear. So once it's all the way down, you'll see that it's seated against there. We're going to secure this with a M3 screw from the bottom. Like all the other screws and moving parts, we're going to tighten this to snug and then back it off so the key can rotate freely. If all's done, we should be able to wind up the tile and see it work. Final thoughts. I don't think this is a very good tile. It was a very fun design exercise to try to get the mechanism working in such a small space. There were numerous iterations over the past month or so as I tried several designs in order to get to where we are here. But ultimately, it's a lot to ask from such a small space. One of the things I wish it did a little better is rotate further. So when at full wind, the ball carrier, the very lower carrier, rotates about 1/3 of the way around. So if you have a ball resting on the top and the opening is over here, it will get to about here, which is not quite enough to get it to release the lower ball. So the next person winds it up will probably end up releasing it. The other thing is it shakes violently. This thing is kind of like unleashing a paint shaker on your game, or like a mechanical version of the earthquake tile. It tends to knock balls loose. It knocks tiles loose. It knocks itself loose. An early version of this had a stiffer spring and it would send itself flying. So a quirk of that is if the gate isn't quite lined up and there's a ball resting on the thing at a 20-degree angle, the violent shaking will tend to push it back up the ramp of the tile above it. So it'll bounce back and forth through time and might not enter the tile. So that's kind of a long-winded way of saying it sort of works. That said, it is a very fun fidget toy, very fun desk toy. And for me, it was a very good engineering challenge to work out. I'm releasing all of the CAD for this. I built it in Autodesk Fusion, so the F3D, along with the step and all the STLs will be available for download. If you would like to look at how it was designed and improve it, you're more than welcome to. If you do print this, good luck. I did find that the first few times it wouldn't quite unwind all the way, but as it sort of worked itself in and sort of ran in, it operates a lot smoother now after a couple of cycles. You may need to file away some of the teeth on the end of the escapement. Not too much, because if you file away too much, it won't run. But I think once those wore down, it ran a little better. Something to keep in mind if your first attempt doesn't work. If you do print one of these, best of luck. I hope it works for you. And yeah, we'd love to see it. Thanks.